Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about who and what are preppers. To be honest, it's people like you and me who don't want to rely on the government and local authorities to help us out in case of an emergency situation. That doesn't mean to say it has to be the end of a world scenario. So what is prepping? Prepping is about preparing for life's unexpected events, whether that's natural disasters, economic hiccups, or accident or illness. Being prepared for different events really does give you peace of mind that you can cope with most situations. Preparedness is different to survival, but when you get to certain levels of prepping, survival and prepping go hand in hand, and a good knowledge of both will be vital. I think there's roughly 5 levels of prepping. The first one is basic preparedness. So you'd be focused on short-term emergencies like power outages or weather events, or like I said before, accident or injury where you can't get to the shops for yourself for a few days. So having basic first aid, if you cut your hand or something, you'd be able to do some butterfly stitches or something like that, so you don't have to go and sit in A&E for 12 hours waiting to be seen. Having a few days worth of food, whether that be fresh or long life food, both are good, but as long as you've got sort of a few days worth of food, that would be covered under level 1. Also having water, a flashlight, and probably a battery operated radio, so if the power goes out you can still know what's going on. Level 2 is extended preparedness. These are emergencies that could last up to a week or even longer, so having more non-perishable foods, a better first aid kit, means of purifying water. So this could be things that are in the area, so you're not directly related, the emergencies aren't your emergency, but they could be things that have happened in your local area like flooding or things like that, where you still can't get supplies from the shops. Maybe they've all been flooded and then they're closed. So having 1 to 2 weeks worth of food is going to be critical for those sorts of scenarios. Level 3 is community preparedness. This is an interesting one in the UK because we're generally pretty private people. We don't like people to know what we're doing, and some people are almost embarrassed to say they're a prepper. In fact, I was a little embarrassed up until I would say about 5-6 years ago. Before COVID happened, I always thought that it would be something like that did affect us all, and that was one of my reasons for prepping many years ago, so that I could feed ourselves and just look after the family if I needed to do that. The nice thing for me is having this channel. I sort of like have free reign. I have full support of my family anyway. They don't think I'm the mad woman in the woods anymore, but it's different for everybody. I did hear a story back in COVID where a man had said to his wife, "We really need to go and get a load of stuff," and she said, "Actually, I've got a load in the garage, we're okay." And he couldn't believe it. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is in the UK we don't talk about things very much. Other countries like Sweden and places like that, they're very on it They do survival skills in school. Switzerland, every neighbourhood has a bunker because it's not mainstream in the UK. We don't think anything is really going to affect us, but as we can tell, the weather events are changing so fast with the climate migration and things like that. Everything's coming our way, and it's coming quicker than I'd like, to be honest. I have had some interesting chats with family lately, and I've got my son and his family, and we've got another family, immediate family, that would also be with us if anything major ever happened. And they had said to me, "Oh, it's okay, we'll come to you." And I went, "Oh, hang on a minute. Have you got anything?" And she went, "Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?" And I just said, "Well, you need to start. There's 6 mouths that we would have to feed. Yes, we could live on rice and beans for quite a long time, and if we had to, we would. But I said to her, you've got to have that rice and beans. You've got to make an effort." They do come with firearms and stuff like that. So, and they have knowledge in growing stuff. So I'm not worried on that side that they wouldn't play their part in our community, in our small community, because you're going to need a community to survive long term. Hopefully all this is never ever needed, but learning it all, passing it on to children and grandchildren is going to be key in the future. So level 4 is regional and national disasters. That's stuff that you just can't control, and it's where you'll start needing to possibly relocate to a different area, definitely learn self-sufficiency. Maybe you've got something small scale, but you can upscale quite quickly with a few extra hands, but having enough food for a year would give you that time to bulk out what you need to do for long-term self-reliance and security. You'd need to learn food production, water purification, alternative energy sources. Having that plan in place is going to be vital. Learning skills like foraging, or having the books even, we can't all take everything in, it's impossible, but having hard copies of everything. Natural medicines, that's what I'm personally working on this year, and will be doing a couple of videos later on in the year, using aloe vera, honey, garlic, or echinacea, or natural antibiotics, all stuff we might need in the future, because if we did have a national disaster, you won't be able to get your medicines. So having an alternative for your blood pressure tablets or something like that, there's lots out there, but you just need to learn it. So maybe whatever medications you take, you can look up and find an alternative and store that. The last one, obviously, is social collapse. I believe we're already seeing signs of it in different countries with wars. We can't dictate what happens abroad, but that all has a knock-on effect, and other things happening in all of our areas. Climate migration, where it's got too hot for people to live in their own countries, so they're trying to get here for a better way of life. But our country as well is getting hotter and hotter, and foods are going to get harder and harder to produce. So trying to adapt to the weather conditions and learning things now is going to be key. Mastering wilderness survival skills would be important in that scenario. Our modern day life is becoming more and more unpredictable, with lots of different things potentially disrupting our lives. Supply chains, natural disasters, wars, or other emergencies. It seems to be, when you look at the news now, something is happening everywhere, and it's all so quick. But being prepared and prepping promotes self-reliance so that you would be able to cope with most situations. Well, I think I've waffled on enough for today. I hope you've found this helpful and informative, and maybe gives you something to think about and something to work towards. If you have liked the video, please give it the old thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. And thank you to everybody who is continuing to watch the channel. Till next time, bye.